Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you guys a really fun project called A Pop of Color, so stay tuned and watch till the end and enjoy this project with me. For this project you're going to need colored pencils. I'm using Prisma colors today, but you can use any kind of colored pencils. These are Faber-Castell artist pens, or you can just use fine tip Sharpies, a pencil, multimedia paper, and an image that you would like to reference. So I'm going to start off by drawing a frame around my paper, and because I want this to kind of have a homemade look, I'm not using a ruler. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my pinky up against the side of my paper and I'm dragging my pen along with it really lightly, so it gets a sort of straight edge, but it's not a perfect straight edge. If you would like to do a perfect straight edge, you may use a ruler, but in this case, because I'm doing this very organic looking piece, I wanted an organic looking frame. After I drew my frame, I'm going to start drawing my reference image. I'm doing a sunflower, so after you guys draw your frame, go ahead and draw whatever you want on your paper. Use your reference picture if you would like. You just want to make sure that it is colored. If you're using the internet, you have to find a picture that is colored so you can reference those colors later. So go ahead and draw your image now. Once you have drawn your reference image inside of your frame, we're going to then select the areas that we want to color. So you see I've drawn my sunflower inside of my image, inside of my frame, and now I'm selecting two areas where I want to focus my color. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a rectangle around those areas. And now you might be thinking, Miss B, why are we just coloring these few areas? Why aren't we coloring the whole thing? Well, I will be honest, I do not like coloring with colored pencils very much. After a while, my hands start to get tired. I have to keep sharpening my pencil, just all kinds of excuses, right? But I want to get better at it. So by selecting two smaller areas to color and commit to coloring, I am able to build up my skill, but I'm not coloring the whole paper. So this is a win-win for me. And then also it's gonna turn out looking so cool. It's gonna look so cool. So we're building up skill by just focusing in on two areas or three areas. We're making sure that these are gonna look perfect when we're done, because our attention is gonna be into detail. So it's just a win-win, right? Now what I'm doing is I'm taking my fine tip markers, because this package came with 4, and I'm just testing them out to make sure I know which one I want to use for my outline, because the next step that we're going to do is we're going to take this fine tip marker and we're going to outline the whole piece. So that way it's going to be almost like a coloring book, like we just made a homemade coloring page. So I got my fine tip marker that I wanted to use, and I'm just going to start outlining the whole thing. Once you have your whole image outlined with your marker, we're going to begin coloring the areas that we committed to color. You're going to want to have your reference image pulled up in front of you so you can easily see it, and then we're going to pick out our colored pencils that we will need for these areas. For my sunflower, of course, sunflowers are orange, yellow, and red colored. So I'm going to start with where my reference image tells me that the darkest part of my leaves are towards the inside of the flower. So I'm using my darker colors first and putting the darker areas down. That way, as I continue to color, I can blend those a little bit better into the lighter colors. So you'll get to see up close in a little bit. I don't know how long ahead, but I zoom in so you can see exactly what's going on with my blending. And basically, like I said, I don't like coloring with colored pencils, and I'm just trying to build up this skill, so I might not have the correct answers for coloring with colored pencils, but this is what I found that worked for me. So if you know how to color with colored pencils already, then feel free to just do the project and don't listen to my advice. But if you would like to try what I'm doing, it seemed to work for me. I don't know if it's exactly correct, but if it works, it works, right? So what I did was I started off with my darker color and I lightly put it on. And then I started to put on a lighter shade. So it was red first, really light red, and then my orange, really light on top of the red, going up towards the tip of the petal. And then I went back over with my red, kind of over the seam in between the orange and the red already, and just kept adding that color over that seam to blend it out a little bit better. So as you watch, you'll see me go over multiple times over the seams to try to get a seamless blend with my colored pencils. Now again, remember that we're only coloring in the areas that we have selected. So whatever's in that box, you need to color. And don't color anything outside of that box. So I had that little bitty piece of petal sticking up inside of my box. I colored it. So just keep in mind that whatever's in the box has color on it. I'm coming in with my yellow now to finish up my petals on my sunflower, and I'm happy with my red and orange. Even though it's not completely a seamless blend, I'm happy with what it looks like. So now I'll just be working on blending better that orange and yellow. Here is a up close recording of me going back over the yellow and orange areas of my sunflower, so you can see a little bit closer how I'm trying to get this to blend. Again, I'm just taking the darker shade and lightly bringing it up into the lighter shade, and then going back over with the lighter shade back onto where my darker shade was. And like I said, this worked for me, and I ended up enjoying how it looked. So if you have a better way of blending your colors together and you don't want to do it this way, that is completely fine. Now I'm going to move on to my background, and because I don't want just a flat blue background, I'm going to start adding just some things to break it up. So I'm adding clouds. Now I'm just taking my white colored pencil and just adding some white areas like clouds. And then I'm going in with a dark blue underneath the clouds and just in random areas, so that way I have a nice mixture of atmosphere going on. You can see I've already started adding some actual blue to my image, and it's blending really nicely with the dark blue. And then where my clouds are, I'm just going back over with the white to blend it out a little bit better with the blue surrounding areas. I have finished coloring this top section of my image, so now I'm going to color this bottom section by myself. So you'll come back and see that I have finished that already. Now here is my completed image, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed this project. It's a great way to just focus our attention to detail in little ways. I had a great time doing this project, and I hope you did too.